So setting it up. Good, looks like it's going in all the places. So welcome everyone. I just want to make sure that I can see myself, and I'm going to keep an eye on, I'm streaming in a few places, but I'm going to keep an eye on the live stream in my group. So if you're joining me there and you have any questions, please comment. And wherever you're joining me from, let me know that you're here, whether you're here live or watching the replay. And I will, hi Terry, and I will come back and look at the questions and comments, but I'm going to keep an eye on the comments in my group, since I can really only watch a couple places at a time. So if you're on Zoom with me, I'll watch for your comments as well. If you wanted to hop on Zoom, I did post that Zoom link on my personal page and in my group. You can go look for that if you wanted to come over to Zoom. I know some people like being on Zoom. I always like it when people are joining me on Zoom because I feel like I'm not just here alone by myself. So welcome. I have some interesting things to talk about today that are related to the topic that you can see above, which is why knowing your sacred wealth virtue can basically change your financial situation, no matter where you are right now. And I know that this is true because I've seen it for myself, and I've seen it for many other people who have been through this class before. But I was having a conversation via email with one of my students this morning, and it really brought up, she'd asked me to clarify something that I said a couple weeks ago, which is that I have a theory of why there seems to be an overwhelming amount of people in my Facebook group who are identifying themselves with the wealth archetype of love, and a overwhelmingly small amount of people that I have seen that are identifying with the virtue of fortitude. And I had mentioned I have a theory about that, but I didn't share what the theory was. And so she wanted me to clarify. And so I wanted to talk about this today because it's something that I feel like can be really, really helpful, especially to those of you who are going to be coming through the program, which actually starts tomorrow. So our 4-month journey into Sacred Wealth Virtues starts tomorrow. What is tomorrow? Wednesday, September 27th at 1 o'clock Pacific time. It's just $333 to join me for the entire 4-month journey. And I have a 2 payment plan option as well. If you do pay in full, you get an extra bonus of a program that I created. I actually created a whole series of alignments based on some things that I learned the first time I ran this program 5 years ago when I created this whole system. I learned a lot, and I'm learning more. Just even through the last couple of weeks of talking about this with all of you guys, I'm really learning a lot about just the kind of mind-blowing depth that really is the system. I feel like I was downloaded with this system about 5 years ago in my own journey of working with virtues. And I didn't begin working with virtues to try to change my relationship with money or make more money or get more money. It had nothing to do with money or abundance. It actually had to do with my own personal soul growth and wanting to really become the best version of myself that I could become, and really wanting to open up my ability to channel information, my connection with my own divine guidance. That's where it started for me. But I realized that we can actually transform every area of our lives by doing this type of work. And so a lot of people over the years have come to me to work on financial abundance. And so I created this system, and I did it through a lot of meditation and receiving the information that there are 4 primary wealth archetypes. And I think I'm just beginning to wrap my mind around actually how important this system is and how important this information is, and how we can really go deeper into connecting with the abundance that's all around us and with our soul mission. And so I want to start with talking about some of the things that I shared with this person this morning via email about love and fortitude. So it's my theory that a lot of people are actually hiding out in the wealth archetype of love, because the wealth archetype of love is really all about being in service to others. And in the spiritual community, that's what we have, and religious communities across the board, and really in our society. That's where we have taught that we should be. We should be sacrificing to other people. And the shadow side of love is all about sacrificing ourselves for other people, even to the point of sacrificing our health and our financial security and all of our time and all of our energy, and giving what we don't even have to give. So I think that because we're programmed collectively that this is how we're supposed to be, that is why so many people are identifying with the wealth archetype of love. And that's not to say if you identify with that or you got that result if you took the quiz, that that's not accurate. My theory, as the creator of the system, is that people are hiding out in this experience. And the archetype of fortitude is the leader archetype. And people have a really, really hard time seeing themselves as a leader. A lot of times people think it's egotistical to claim that they're a leader. And I feel like that was actually me for a long time. I was sacrificing myself. I was giving of myself what I didn't even have to give. And I remember many years ago, many years ago, when my kids were little, and my oldest daughter is 27 right now. So it was at least probably 20 years ago, around 20 years ago, I was watching Oprah, and there was a woman on there, I don't remember who it was, but she was talking about, and by now we've all heard this analogy, talking about the importance of putting your own mask on first, the airplane crash example, you have to put your own mask on first before you can help anybody else put on their mask, right? She was talking about the importance of putting your own needs first and putting yourself and your well-being first, so that you could then give from a full cup, pour from a full cup. But I was so depleted, and I was so entrenched in sacrificing myself and not even considering, I didn't even know who I was or what I wanted or what I needed, because my mindset was all about serving everyone else around me, the church, my children, my husband, my friends, my family, everyone else except for me. And I never, the thought of even taking a bath by myself for half an hour and filling up my own cup, I didn't even know how to wrap my mind around that. And so when I listened to that Oprah episode, I got really angry, because I'm like, who do these people think they are, that they should put their own needs first? That's how far away, that's how much in the shadow side of the love archetype I was. And, went on this very deep dive healing transformation journey, and I started taking classes in learning how to work with different healing modalities. And then I took a year-long life coach certification, whole person coaching. And in that class, all of my fellow students and the teacher of that class, the owner of the company, everybody was telling me that I was a healer and I was a leader. And I wasn't necessarily meant to be a coach in the traditional sense of coach. And it took me almost a year of hearing that from other people that I began to even accept for myself. All right, maybe I am a healer. And when I stepped out in that and put myself out there online 8 years ago, people kept coming to me, looking at me as a leader. And I did not see myself as a leader. I didn't want to be a leader. That was terrifying to me. But I was still wanting to be in service. And that's what people were asking of me. And so I stepped into that role, even though it was very uncomfortable for me when I first opened up my Facebook group 8 years ago. And I started healing the shadow side of love. And I was able to step more into the leader. And I think that there are a lot of people here that are listening to me that probably have amazing leadership qualities, but we're hiding out in the love archetype. We're in the shadow of the love archetype. And the same would go for, so I have really uncovered that love and fortitude are sort of partners in the wealth archetypes. So if you're joining me for the class for Sacred Wealth Virtues, I would recommend starting with whatever archetype you most identify with or got in the quiz. But if you're love, I would recommend after you go through the first 4 weeks of the program, you start to work on fortitude. And that's the next archetype that you work on. If you got fortitude, go through that first and then start with love. And I'm also seeing the same thing with exuberance and devotion. So exuberance is all about, the people that really know how to enjoy their wealth and they really know how to enjoy life. And devotion is really what the word says. But when you're in balance, so that the positive aspect of devotion is that you have a really good, healthy relationship with money, and you feel good about the way that your money is working for you. You know how to invest, you know how to make your money work for you, and you have a devotion to the world through those gifts and skills. But if you're out of balance in that energy, you may go to the extreme into the exuberance shadow side, which is way overspending, way overindulging, even going into addictions, shopping addictions, even drug or alcohol or food addictions. And so if you got exuberance in the quiz or you identify with that, I would recommend working through the exuberance videos, modules as we go through the first 4 weeks of the program, and then go into devotion. If you got devotion, work through that first and then go into exuberance. And that's the beauty of this program, is that we all have some of all of this in us, innately in us, and we can actually move into more of some of the archetypes that we may admire and respect and want to become by working through the shadows of the opposite. What I am discovering more recently is the opposite archetype. So exuberance and devotion, love and fortitude. So if you know your archetype, I would love to hear how this resonates for you, because as I'm really preparing and recreating the materials in this entire program. So if you came through 5 years ago, or if you've come through the self-study version of Sacred Wealth Virtues, it's all new. I mean, I'm using the same structure, but it's all new videos, it's all new healing. And as I've been really working on that, I've been given even more information and insight into this system. So I'm going to go over just briefly a little bit deeper than what the quiz goes into. And I just want to look at there's a lot of comments here. I want to look at some of oh, thank you, Terry. some of the comments really quick. So I would love to hear if this makes sense to you, because I kind of just had a light bulb moment as I was having this conversation this morning, and just a more of an even an in-depth understanding even of the system that I was given or that I created 5 years ago. So I want to go a little bit more in depth than what the quiz goes into, in case you are wondering if your quiz result was accurate, or maybe you haven't taken the quiz. So for love, I want to go into the shadow side, because that's really where the magic is in this program, is healing the shadow side of each and every one of the 4 archetypes. And that's why I actually made this. It used to be a 4-week program. I actually made it into a 4-month program, because I really want to motivate people and create the container for people to be able to go through all 4 archetypes, not just the one that they're primarily identifying with. And I would guess that for many people, if you do this, if you come through the program and you go through all of the archetypes, you may find that you actually end up the opposite one. So if you're love, you might find that you end up as fortitude by the end, because you've healed that. If you are working from the shadow side, if you're fortitude, you might move into love, exuberance, and devotion. Or maybe there's a cross. Maybe you go from love to devotion, or exuberance to fortitude. So I'm really excited to see what happens for people at the end of these 4 months, because I've only taught this once live before, and that was 5 years ago, and it was 4 weeks. And I haven't held this 4-month container to actually give people the time to go through all of the materials and to integrate, because there's homework in each one. So you don't want to go through them fast. Like a lot of the healing programs that I do, people will come through the self-study and they'll do it a lot faster than we did it live. With this, I really, really highly recommend you actually take the full 4 months to go through, and go through it a little bit slower, so that you can implement some of those changes, and you can really investigate yourself and go deep with the work. So I'm very interested to see what actually happens for the people that are coming through at the end of the 4 months. And I know that if you actually do the work and you go through all of the archetypes, that your relationship with money will be vastly different by the end of this program. And not just money, but everything. I was thinking about my life even 2 years ago, and how vastly different I am as a person in doing this type of work, working with virtues, and really having my core goal be becoming the best version of myself that I can be, and not some external goal like, getting to 7-figure income or multi 6-figure income, wherever, no matter where you're at, whatever that goal is, or getting into that perfect, relationship, or getting in shape, or whatever it is. My primary focus has been becoming the best version of myself that I can be. And that's been the work that I've been doing. And not coincidentally, almost all of those things have lined up. I'm in a relationship that is the best relationship I've ever been in my life, better than I could have imagined 2 years ago. I'm in the best shape that I've been since my early 20s. I have a better relationship with money than I have ever had. And my income has not increased in those 2 years. But I work probably a quarter of the amount that I worked 2 years ago. So say I maybe worked 60 hours a week 2 years ago, and now I may find myself working 15 hours a week. And my income hasn't gone up, but it hasn't gone down. And I would much rather enjoy my life than be a slave to my business and create more money. I want to enjoy the money that I have. And that's what I have found that I have experienced. And so even though I haven't been actually consciously working on those things, I've been working on myself through this type of work with the virtues, everything else around me has changed. So that's what I'm anticipating for the people that are coming through this program and are applying themselves and doing the work. And it's not a ton of work. It's not like you have to work on this for 2 hours a day, but it's very specific, focused, concentrated work. And so that's what I'm looking forward to the most and seeing for the people that are coming through this. So I want to talk about the shadow side, go a little bit deeper on the shadow side of each one of the archetypes. And I would love to hear what you're identifying with. And you may identify with the shadow side of all of them. And if you do, I just want to say you would greatly, greatly benefit from coming through this live program if it's possible for you. So for love, the archetype of love, working from the shadow side, when you're out of alignment with this whole archetype, you feel depleted, exhausted, resentful of other people. I lived in that for decades. You engage in overgiving. You don't have appropriate boundaries. Maybe you don't have any boundaries. Maybe you think it's wrong to have boundaries. That was me, 10 plus years ago. I didn't have any boundaries. You neglect yourself. You maybe even go into self-punishment. You overcommit, and this overcommitment overwhelms you. You may lose your identity. You may become over-identified with the people in your life. You may take on their problems, their emotions, maybe even possibly their debt. And you're sacrificing yourself to other people. So I'm going to go deeper into that in the program, but that's a start with, seeing maybe, are you doing some of these things? And then the shadow side of fortitude, you feel distracted. You feel isolated. You feel like you're never enough. You might be engaging in overworking. Maybe you're workaholic, self deprivation. You deprive yourself of anything enjoyable. And you have an overwhelming sense of dissatisfaction. You get your worth and value extrinsically. And this can lead to feelings of overwhelming unworthiness. You have a need to stay busy, staying on that hamster wheel. So you take on too much responsibility. And that's a little bit different than the overcommitting shadow of love. You're actually taking on responsibility rather than just giving and giving of yourself until you're depleted. But the result is the same, basically. It drains you and it sets you up to become resentful or angry. So let me know if you feel like you're falling into any of those traps. And then exuberance. So when you're kind of in the shadow side, the unhealthy side of this archetype, you may feel unloved, unaccepted, deprived of fun and pleasure. You might be engaging in overspending or over drinking, overeating, anything over, even over exercising, anything to the extreme. You may be unable to prioritize. You have a deep fear of going without. You have a deep rooted fear of being deprived and in pain. And you seek ways to avoid that pain, even to the unhealthy extremes. You may be out of touch with your inner guidance because you're desperately trying not to feel the pain and deprivation. This can create a deep anxiety that you may try to cover up with excesses. And this can lead to addictions. You may attempt to keep yourself and your mind busy all the time, and this just puts you in further misalignment. Let me know if you identify with any of those, and don't feel bad if you're identifying with all of them. That just means that you have such a high potential to transform your situation and your life. There's a lot of people that I've talked to that are identifying with all of the shadow sides. And that's kind of exciting to me because that means we can really promote some deep transformation through this work. So devotion, in the shadow or unhealthy side of devotion, is you might feel worried anxious and fearful all the time about everything, but particularly about losing money or not having enough. You might be engaging in hoarding or becoming very judgmental of yourself or other people and restricting fun and enjoyment. Your behavior may be overly rigid, not allowing yourself to indulge in anything that could bring you joy or happiness. Your fear of not having or being enough may keep you up at night and make you feel paralyzed with worry and anxiety during the day. So, those are really some of the shadow sides, some of the things that we're going to be working through in this program. And I'm going to talk about for a second here some of the positive qualities of each one of these archetypes that I will expect that we'll be moving into together collectively through the work in this program. So, love. So, the positive side of this archetype is you have a beautiful, generous heart and you love taking care of other people. You're so good at nurturing and nurturing the world. And you can experience a tremendous joy and satisfaction when you get the chance to assist, love, and support others in need. And you can do this when you're in the flow and balanced in giving and receiving while feeling loved, supported, and recharged at the same time. And really, the key with this is learning how to not give from an empty cup, learning that analogy of put your own mask first that made me feel so upset 2 decades ago because I was so depleted and giving what I didn't have and I didn't understand that I didn't have to do that. I could give from a recharged place and we can actually have such a more positive impact when we do that. And we can do it without being resentful and without being completely obliterated energetically within ourselves because we allow ourselves to be loved, supported, and recharged. So when you're allowing yourself to be recharged and receive, you can also give from that space and you can live extremely generously. Your loyalty is unparalleled. People can really count on and depend on you. You're kind and you lift other people up, and you have the ability to gracefully receive. And through your receiving, you're actually benefiting and giving to other people. And some of the positive aspects of fortitude is really being that leader. You're a powerful, natural born leader. And if you're really working from the positive aspects of this archetype, you could be a very successful entrepreneur, CEO of a corporation or of your family. You're a big picture thinker. You can really see the potential and possibility where other people may only have the vision to see obstacles and chaos, but you have what it takes to bring that vision to life. When you're in the flow and working from the aligned, balanced aspect of this archetype, you have the time and energy to enjoy and play with the money that you have accumulated or made through your hard work. You can easily inspire and empower other people with your deep passion for what you're creating in the world because you're a magical, powerful creator. And when you're in alignment, you can manifest almost instantly. And then exuberance. So, exuberance, when you're in alignment, luxury and excitement flow freely into your life, and people see you as the life of the party. They're irresistibly drawn to your natural magnetism. And you're comfortable using money for pleasure without going into debt and overspending. You know the balance, you know when to spend and when to hold back. You're not spending on everything in sight. You have priorities and you have balance. When you're in the flow, money moves in and out of your life in divine balance and harmony. And you can experience that luxury without going into debt or feeling like you have to deprive yourself of everything just to have what you desire. Um, you naturally get people excited and motivated. And this might make you really good at authentic sales. And you may be a really inspirational coach or even a leader. You help people look at life in new and exciting ways, and you truly enjoy life and all of its experiences. So we can really, by doing the work on the shadow side of each one of these archetypes, we can embrace the positive qualities in all of them. So finally, devotion. When you're in alignment, you're organized, determined, and devoted to your goals and dreams. And saving money comes easy to you. Being responsible with your finances gives you a sense of joy, satisfaction, and security. And this energy really flows into the lives of the people around you. You have a very good relationship with money and you feel good about the way that your money is working for you. You're really good at creating methods, systems, and solutions. You're really solution oriented, and you have an innate ability to work with the universal laws to be a co-creator of your experience in life. You're thoughtful, you're introspective, you're most likely a great listener, and are deeply appreciative when other people listen to you. You can offer insightful advice to other people that they can find practical and useful, and you have very good common sense. So, this is your invitation to join me and work through the shadow sides of all of these archetypes so that we can embrace and embody the positive qualities. And just think if more and more people that are awake and aware and really working on becoming the best version of ourselves, we're able to step out of those shadow behaviors and into being the leaders in this world, having the financial ability to help other people in ways that really make a big impact, both in the people's personal lives and in the world around us. Instead of the imbalance that we see universally right now with, I read a statistic that shocked me yesterday, actually, and it was that on our planet, there are 8 men who have more wealth than over 3.5 billion people. So what if we could shift that power dynamic a little bit and really have those of us who are here to actually be in service to others and not in service in a depleting, self-sacrificing way, but true service to others, true service to humanity? What if we could shift that power and create a better world? Ultimately, that's what this is all about. And I know that that's happening. I know that all of you who are listening to me, you're doing this work. Um, and I would love to see you join with me and all of us do this work together for the next 4 months and see what happens when we come out the other side in, let's see, October, November, December, at the end of January, really starting 2024 with the ability to live in the positive aspects of each one of these archetypes. So I just wanted to share this insight with all of you guys and see if it makes sense, see if it resonates with you, and give you one last invitation to join me. We start tomorrow, and I think I'll hop on tomorrow. I just got back from a trip last night. Um, so I'm preparing for this class and getting ready for our class to start tomorrow. But watch my space here tomorrow, because if I have time, I'm going to hop on and do a little bit of healing work around all of this that I shared today. But I'd love to see you in class tomorrow if you're able to join me. It's a pretty low investment, especially for the work that we're going to be doing. And for a 4-month journey, it's just $333, and I have 2 payment plans as well. So if you're resonating with this work, I would really love to see you there. And I'd love to do this together and really join together and make a huge positive impact in the world that I know that we can do. And so I'm excited to get started tomorrow. And thank you guys for joining me for this. I really want to know if this resonates. I'm going to go back and look at the comments because I think that this system that I created 5 years ago is actually I feel like the world is actually ready for it now. I think that's probably why I haven't taught it again. I was going to teach it. I had it all ready to go right before COVID hit, right before the pandemic. In fact, I had to cancel the whole thing. I had it all. I spent a lot of time creating it and preparing it, getting ready for that launch. And I had to just cancel the whole thing because of COVID. I was really called to focus on other things at that time. And I think the world has shifted so much in that time that we're in a different paradigm now. And I think now is really the time to do this work. And I'm just really uncovering so much more about this system that I didn't even realize was there 5 years ago. So really looking forward to spending the next 4 months with you guys if you're joining me. And thank you so much for hopping on with me live, or if you're catching the replay. I'd love your thoughts on this. And hopefully I will see you tomorrow. So much love, everyone, and bye for now.